To the Batmobile. Let's go.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
All right. Basement Boy Banter, episode 133. Back, better than ever. We're both married now.
Boom.
So we took a good month off.
It's kind of funny.
I'm Thor, that's Brian, by the way. We're the Basement Boys.
This has been a really big year for like stuff. So
love.
It feels like we have a lot of like, we're back and we'll be here for a while, and then it's
Just
like
until
2
the
weeks
next
later.
hiatus.
Yeah, until the next hiatus.
Or until I get a job. Either one. Whichever comes first.
Too much going on this year, but that's good.
He got married in June. I got married last weekend. A week from today, actually. Or a week, yeah.
I bet the wife's thrilled we're taping today, huh?
Yeah, she's pumped. She's at work. So, you know. What she doesn't know. She doesn't watch our show. What was I going to say? But yeah, we're back. So we took a good month off. Mm-hmm. So we had Comic-Con, which was our last episode. Then really nothing. There's been no news up until this week. Then also this week, everything went ape crap crazy. And
May perfection.
Oh my gosh, the internet went savage on everybody. We're boycotting everything at this point. I think we're just going to boycott life from here on out. But so the hoopla was about Spider-Man. Specifically, Spider-Man's time in the MCU seems to be coming to an end. Farewell, Spidey. Disney and Sony have had a deal for the last, like, let's say 4 or 5 years, right? That they can use Spider-Man in the MCU, and in Spider-Man movies, they can use MCU characters, and Disney gets all the merchandising, but Sony gets all the profits from the movie.
Right.
So Spider-Man made $1.1 billion, Far From Home. That's Sony's money, right? It's a Marvel Studios production, quote unquote, but it's a Sony movie. So they take that money. Marvel gets anything that you buy that says Far From Home on it. Marvel gets that money, right? So it's a decent split. They might get 5% of the take too. Don't quote me on like numbers, right?
Okay.
So their deal ended after the 2 solo Spider-Man movies and Infinity War, Endgame, Civil War. Right? Those are the 5 movies he's been in.
Right.
So I think he's got 2 or 3 movies left on his deal. Tom Holland is who we're talking about. You should know this. Follow along. And so Sony and Disney sit down at the table and they're going to renegotiate.
Okay.
Disney's like, we want 50% of the take now, plus the merchandising. Mm-hmm. And Sony's like, well, I mean, come on, man. Like, this is like our only IP that's hitting.
Right.
Like, we kind of need this. And Disney's like, ha ha ha. Well, that's the deal. So Sony's like, sorry, we can't do it.
Right.
So news breaks, Spider-Man's out of the MCU. Internet goes nuts, starts blaming Sony, boycott Sony, save Spidey from Sony, everything, right?
Yep.
Anything you can think of. There's probably some memes that have popped up while I'm doing this talking. And Disney's kind of sitting back, like making no comment, anything.
Naturally.
Sony puts out this like three-page tweet. So they needed 3 different, Trump does that a lot. He does like whatever. But they did this big old tweet talking about how they were saddened that Kevin Feige didn't want to work on properties that Marvel owned. Because now he's got Fantastic Four, X-Men, Phase 4, the Disney Plus stuff.
Right.
He's got a lot of stuff to oversee. Technically, Spider-Man isn't their property. Now, if you've seen Far From Home, they set Spider-Man up as like a very pivotal person in the MCU.
Right.
But with him being exposed, spoiler alert, too late, with him being exposed at the end of the movie, like the end credit scene is literally Mysterio exposing him on the dailybugle.net or whatever, J. Jonah Jameson, which is back to the old J. Jonah Jameson, which is sad, but so that he's Spider-Man and he like killed Mysterio pretty much. So Mysterio's like the hero and Spider-Man's now the villain. And they said it's Peter Parker. So he's been fully exposed. So he could go into hiding.
Right.
Because really, if you looked at Phase 4, there's nothing that's going to take place really on Earth. Eternals, out space, Thor, Love and Thunder's space, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Yeah.
That's going to be completely a self-contained story.
Right.
Probably no other heroes because we're introducing everybody to this hero.
Right.
And then Black Widow, which takes place before everything.
Right. So that doesn't really
matter. And those
matter.
are your 4 movies. Mm-hmm. Plus, you got X-Men on the horizon. You got Fantastic Four on the horizon. Does Marvel really need Spider-Man at this point?
No, but they didn't even in the beginning. I mean, it's something people wanted, but they didn't need, right?
Who's more to blame for this breakup, in your opinion?
Disney. I mean, naturally, Disney did what they do best. They made good movies and basically put Spider-Man back in people's minds as like a good movie. And then they freaking flexed on Sony and said, look, we're not going to give you a fair deal now because we know that we are going to basically, there's enough money in it that if you made your own Spider-Man movie, you'll probably make less than taking half of the Spider-Man movie we put together with you.
Right.
But not a lot less. Like, just enough less that it's like, it's a tough decision, but
I would
also,
wonder who puts the marketing bill and stuff like that, because if that could add another couple $100 million in that, and that makes it even a more lucrative deal for whichever side. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
whoever's paying that is probably the
if
loser. If
Disney was paying that, then that's, Sony, that's to Sony's benefit.
Well,
right?
I think what they're doing ultimately is, like you said, you put Spider-Man in hiding, and what they'll do is, assuming Sony is like, well, we want to keep, it's hot, yada, 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 let's do a Spider-Man movie without Disney. And I assume, and maybe I'm wrong, this is me just assuming, it doesn't do well. And then they're like, okay, Disney, can we come back?
Let's say they really don't need a Spider-Man movie for 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5. Right? You could just let it cool down, and then maybe Disney buys Sony. Maybe they don't make enough. I mean, they got the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse stuff that they're going to do more of. They got the Venom stuff they're going to do more of.
Right.
They could introduce Spider-Man to the Venom stuff, I guess, but I don't love that. They got Morbius coming out with Jared Leto. I'm not super interested in that. Spider-Man stuff works best when Spider-Man's around. Now, adding a Spider-Man back to it, do you try to just bring in the Tom Holland one and be like, it's a different dimension, or do you literally?
The smarter thing would be have a new one.
Recast it. Recast it. No, because then people are gonna go. Nope.
And right. Nope. But my point is if the recasted one does poorly, you haven't done anything to the universe, so Tom Holland can come back for Disney's Spider-Man. So you basically, if you decide, okay, let's try and get that Disney deal back, you haven't ruined anything.
Would they do this? Bring somebody back to be Spider-Man?
That wouldn't be a bad idea either.
A Tobey Maguire or an Andrew Garfield. You bring them back.
Did people hate Andrew Garfield? I feel like that was...
no, they didn't hate Andrew Garfield.
It was just the movies.
They hated the movies.
Okay.
Yeah, especially 2. 1 wasn't even that bad.
Honestly, Tobey Maguire's probably your safest because people have memed him enough. So
you do a Logan version?
Right.
Like an old man Spider-Man version?
Because people have memed him enough that he's kind of come back in popularity. Even Spider-Man 3, I think most people look at it as a fun thing to watch.
So you redeem Spider-Man 3 by doing an old man Spider-Man Logan style movie.
Well, especially with Venom and stuff,
you would make enough money. I don't even know if you need Venom at that point, because you've already introduced Venom in that world. I mean, you could retcon some stuff.
Right.
But you did have Eddie Brock become Venom, and it was Topher Grace and not the Eddie Brock that became Venom in the Venom movies.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see what they're going to do. I honestly blame both sides. Like, just come to the table, because it's mutually beneficial for both of them to keep some sort of working relationship with this character.
Right.
It works best in their shared universe, and
they both benefit.
They can do their ancillary stuff and make their money and make their, have their pie over there and still get this piece over here.
Let me put you
now
do you think it's a fair deal? Do you think Disney came with a fair deal?
If it was 50%, it's too much. 50% is too much. But if they were looking for maybe 20, I could see that.
Yeah, I think 20 would have been.
And if they're doing the merchandise, I bet they're paying the marketing campaign.
Probably.
Because if you're getting the merchandise money and all the marketing really is, merchandise sales, then I would say that. Yeah. Plus, it's their studio. I don't know. It's a very weird situation. I'm neither here nor there in it, and I bet this isn't the last. I bet we get a Tom Holland movie in the MCU, but I bet it comes in like 3 years, once we need it again. Because I don't think you're going to need it for the next X amount of years.
I think this is one of those things where this deal can fall through. There's still time. Ultimately, a deal's not done until it's done. You know what I mean? Till we've basically moved on to the point where it wouldn't make any sense for Tom Holland to show up, right? Because, I mean, look at his first appearance. It was like super last minute, like, we just cut this deal, write him in.
And if you think they don't have plans for like
They have two sets of plans. One if they can't get Disney to work, and one or Sony to work, and one if they can get Sony to work.
100%. And they might even looked at the roadmap going, hey, we don't need a Spider-Man movie for, let's say, 4 or 5 years.
Right.
Why have this deal where we're paying them? Let's just let it cool.
Right.
See what they want to do.
Throw them something that they're going to say no on, and then that's ultimately bartering,
let's
right?
see how Venom 2 performs.
Right.
Let's see how the next Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie performs. And they signed those Lord Miller guys onto like a multi-year deal to kind of run their Spider-Man franchise. Let's see how Morbius performs.
Right.
I think you see how those perform. Let it sit, and then let's revisit it when we need Spider-Man to come back at some point.
I would ultimately, like you said, it's everybody, but I think Disney's playing they're doing your classic dirty deal sort of technique and throwing a deal on the table they're going to not be able to accept, right?
If they buy Sony, though, then it's just like...
is Sony doing poor enough to warrant that? Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah. Most companies that aren't pretty much those companies are struggling heavily because they don't have enough tent poles, and like summer box office was way down,
right?
And there weren't a lot of like great movies. I mean, the only movies I saw this summer were Spider-Man: Far From Home.
How come Disney can keep churning them out so solid, but all these other ones keep flipping, barely hanging?
And we'll see how Disney does the next 2 years with what's coming out, because there's a lot of unknowns. Eternals, Shang-Chi, Doctor Strange. Oh, that Doctor Strange movie. You can do a lot of things in that Doctor Strange movie if you want.
But I guess my point is like, if everybody else has been just pumping out pure garbage, why would it take Disney an extra year to start doing the same? I mean, it's not like they're...
No, I think they're just running into a thing post-Endgame where it's like... Plus they have all those Disney Plus shows. Right. It's just and there's a different landscape. Like, you don't really have... If you look at the Marvel movies coming out in the next 2 years, you don't have a tentpole. Like,
that's true.
You don't have an Avengers. You don't even have an Iron Man or a Captain America. You don't have even a Guardians. You don't have one of those movies. It's Eternals, Black Widow, Shang-Chi,
but you could argue,
and Doctor Strange and Thor.
You could argue Doctor Strange and Thor are both. I mean, especially Thor. I would argue Thor is essentially as close to a tentpole as they got, because
it is.
Look at how good Ragnarok did.
Ragnarok did a lot better than the first two, but it's still not on par with what Iron Man and Cap were pulling.
No, Cap was barely people. There's so many people who said that was trash. It's not.
Winter Soldier and Civil War made more than Ragnarok.
Okay,
I will almost guarantee that. But either way,
guarantee. He doesn't know for sure, but he'd guarantee it.
Look it up. I would be.
Which one was rated better?
Well, I don't.
It was Ragnarok. It's right.
We're not talking about what was rated better. We're talking about.
But you have to remember,
Winter Soldier probably would have been rated the best of those three movies. Between Civil War, Ragnarok actually, in a lot of people's, would maybe be 3 in that list.
Really?
They'd put Cap, Winter Soldier, and Civil War ahead of Thor 3.
I think after this video, we're looking some stuff up.
I may even do that. All right,
we're looking some stuff up after this, because I disagree.
Yes. I'm Spider-Man'd out.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Matrix 4. Keanu, Trinity, coming back. Wachowskis.
Do you know how many times I've watched the first Matrix movie?
A lot, probably.
Probably. I mean, it's one of those things where I probably watched it every week.
Oh yeah.
Dad had like 3 or 4 movies that were pretty much. It was Blade, Matrix, and Fifth Element. Those were like the 3 that it was. If we watched a movie, it was probably one of those 3, and we're talking since I was like 8. You know, or whatever. I don't know how old any of those specific, but forever. So I've watched.
They're all like 20 years.
I probably watched the first Matrix movie 8,000 times. It's ridiculous.
Oh,
so I am so pumped.
Good. Well, I remember when that movie came out. I was like a teenager at that time, so I was watching it.
You were like, dude, buy me a trench coat,
burning
Mom.
That DVD out, like, and then Animatrix was crazy. Second, third are obviously a disappointment. So doesn't Neo like die? And Trinity's definitely dead.
Well, so this
it is the Matrix.
So with how the Matrix is set up in the movies,
break it down for me, Brian.
Okay, so this is the implied, possible, maybe we'll see, and this is really where they could go with it. So what we'll say is it's fan speculation, or what people wish was kind of the big climax to the last 2 is
climax
that everyone who is outside of the Matrix is actually in a second layer, right? So there's 2 layers to the Matrix. The fake city version, then this fake version when you wake up, wink, wink, that's really just another layer to the Matrix to make you think Because there's obviously always going to be people who resist whatever you want to call the Matrix, right? The program, right? So you have a layer that tricks them into thinking that they're smarter than everybody and resisted and got out when really they're still in another layer. But Neo is someone who superseded that layer also. And that's why he's able to, outside of the Matrix, use his powers to mess with robots and stuff. Because why would that make any sense that he would have superpowers outside of the Matrix? He shouldn't, right? That doesn't make any sense. It's because they're in the second layer of the Matrix, right? So now he died, but really he could have ascended out of that last layer. That could be really, but it's also because he's technically fused with whatever the program, yada, yada, yada. So they could probably take it in 5,000 different directions.
It's the Wachowskis.
But really, the smartest direction I can see, and again, they could come up with something way, way cooler and smarter, would be to focus on, So the reason, because what did they say? They said Zion's been destroyed how many times? This is something, we've done this so many times. Well, how could you destroy Zion that many times? How could all these people keep it? Because it's a program also. So really the smartest thing to do is to talk about how Neo superseded the full program and he starts trying to pull people out.
For reals, for reals.
Like for reals. And then we're talking about what they assume is out, but then they always, and then the cool thing you can do with that is have that gray area where you put stuff that makes you wonder, well, are they really in a third layer or are they actually out? You know, they
So
can
it's
always
Inception
question.
now. So
Kinda,
it's
yeah.
the Matrix Conception.
Basically, yes.
Perfect.
I mean, ultimately, that's
I
where
hope that's
I think
the way they go with it. Honestly,
Right.
that's the layup. Take it. Take the layup. That's an easy one. Mind blown. I honestly was like, this is going to be, I was excited, but not super excited because, what have they done good? Speed Racer was visually entertaining. Jupiter Ascending, I still haven't seen. I
Really?
think that's free.
So
on,
let me. I just watched it with one of my friends.
It's on Netflix.
Jupiter Ascending is a good movie with bad parts or a bad movie with good parts. One of the two. There's literally, it's like it's two separate movies, right? You're watching it and you're like, man, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden it's like the bad movie bubbles up and it's like, oh, this guy's named Stinger and he's got like a haircut that's like, makes him look like a bee. And it's like it's bad. There are bad movie parts where you're like, how did that even get cleared to be in this movie? But then there's other good parts where the movie's got some crazy fun sci-fi stuff and some really cool tech stuff. There's a lot of fun things happening in the movie.
Well, and that's like, you ever seen Cloud Atlas?
No, but I've heard
that movie's messed up. It's a very hard movie to follow. I've seen it a few times, and
it's not hard to follow.
No, that movie is. If you've never seen it, it is hard.
No, not Cloud. I'm talking Jupiter Ascending. Its problem isn't it's hard to follow.
I've heard that it's not hard to follow.
Right.
I want to see that someday. I
think it's worth a watch, but it's also you have to go into it realizing that there's a lot of dumb stuff in it. Like it's literally half bad movie, half good movie.
So Matrix 4 Keanu, we're
oh
golden.
my God, Keanu can do no wrong at this point. So really,
Bond 25. Let me hit you with the title.
Okay.
No Time to Die.
I like it.
Do you?
Yeah, I like it.
It's very Bond-esque, and it even has like a very Bond-esque font.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a blocky. There's like lines in it. I don't know. It's good. I mean, I'm fine with it. It's Daniel Craig's last run as Bond, which I thought I saw. There was like a news story that I thought there was a new Bond, but apparently not. So Daniel Craig.
Well, I imagine that this is his last one, and then because isn't a girl supposed to take over next?
Who knows? This is his last one.
Pretty sure a girl's supposed to take over.
Let's
next.
get past this one, and then we'll worry about what's next. But this one's No Time to Die. I think it comes out like end of this year or beginning of next year. It could be a 2020.
We'll see
the date. The date.
It'll happen.
Did you see? I never saw Spectre. I saw. What was that? Skyfall.
Yes, I saw Skyfall.
Skyfall is really good. I never saw Casino Royale.
I didn't see Casino. I did. I think I saw Spectre.
Spectre.
I'm pretty sure I saw Spectre because Casino Royale is the only one I think I haven't seen with Daniel Craig.
So, I'm not as big of a Bond fan as I once was. Like I own the DVD, like 50 or the Blu-ray collection of all of them with like the missing slot for Skyfall. And I don't think I've ever bought Skyfall and like actually put it in that slot. I think Spectre's the only one.
Skyfall is the one with the guy with the messed up, like he took the cyanide pill and like was his mouse all messed up, or is that
with the cat? Does he have a cat?
I don't remember. Maybe that's Spectre. I don't remember. I just remember the actor. He's the same guy who's in No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
And he's really good.
Javier Bardem,
Probably.
maybe.
I don't know his name. That's why I called him the guy from...
The guy from that one movie.
Yeah.
We know
he's
that guy.
good. He's good. I really like him.
You should be on a trivia show.
Thank you.
You're so good. at
You
it.
have asked me to try and get on a trivia show with you.
We should play some of those fan leagues for some of those movie trivia shows.
You'd win. I'd probably drag you down.
I think we could do
bad.
pretty well. I think we could do.
I
pretty
think
well.
you would do pretty well, and I'd
I
drag
really
you
don't
down.
really don't have time for that though. So I mean, barely was this our first episode in literally a month.
That's
It was
true.
a month like today. Today's the 23rd. We put up a video July 23rd was the last one, and that
Consistency. That's how you get hits on YouTube,
was
right?
Yeah, 1 month apart. You gotta space them out. You know, you can't give you all this goodness just constantly. You gotta space
We don't
out.
want to burn
of,
you out, you know.
We really don't. And talking about something that's not burned out because it hasn't started yet. Are you ready for the XFL returning February 2020?
So I'm not.
So the XFL, maybe in the late 90s, early 2000s, they came out with the XFL. It was on NBC. It was supposed to be like a harder hitting, faster paced version of football, right? And it's run by Vince McMahon, which is why I have any interest in it whatsoever. And he's taken a step back from wrestling, so I'm like, oh, hopefully the product will get better because he's over there doing that. 'Cause he's got a
Ruining
lot of
something
money.
else?
Well, he's already failed at this once, so this is a second attempt with a bunch of money, and we'll see where this goes.
What do you think is making him try again? Do you think he's finally, like, in his head, he's like, I've got it. I've
Vince
cracked the
McMahon's
code.
grapefruits. Just the size of that man's grapefruits. He just doesn't accept failure.
I guess it's true.
So he's like, I'm going to take...
you don't get that rich by accepting a loss.
I'm going to take a few $100 million, and I'm going to do this one more time and do it right. So they got 8 teams. 8 teams. Starts in February. Let's go through some of the teams, shall we? We got the Dallas Renegades.
Okay.
How you feeling about that? Good. Love Dallas.
I like, honestly, that's my
The
favorite.
Houston.
That's my favorite emblem I've seen.
The star. Oh, the mask one?
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that one the best.
Then you got the Houston Roughnecks, or some say Houston Roughnecks. It's a very similar look to the old Houston Oilers thing. That's definitely going to get sued about trademark infringement. It's just way too close.
You think so?
Oh, it's way too close. You look at them; they're like side by side. You got the L.A. Wildcats. You got the New York Guardians.
Okay.
I mean, why not? That one's my least favorite. My favorite name, the St. Louis Battlehawks. Coming at you like a battlehawk, like an armored battlehawk from He-Man. Seattle Dragons.
Okay.
Okay.
I do like that one. Like,
Okay.
it's neat. That
Now,
one's pretty good.
Tampa Bay Vipers. So they can have Randy.
I was gonna say, Randy Orton's gonna show up,
constantly,
right?
And he'll be wearing that jersey and that T-shirt, promoting that on the
You know it.
Oh God,
100%.
constant.
They pretty
Constant.
much came up with that name. Like, okay, Randy Orton can wear that one all the time.
So we got the DC Defenders. So you got the Guardians.
So
and the
which one do you think they're
Defenders.
gonna make John Cena wear all the time?
Oh, John Cena. Well, whatever John Cena wants, whatever his new merch is. John Cena don't wear nobody else's merch. John Cena wears John Cena merch.
You don't think that they'll ask him to wear a jersey once?
John Cena wears John Cena merch, and John Cena merch exclusively.
He's like, I don't let clothes touch my skin if it doesn't have my name on it.
Tell me one other time he's come out in somebody else's gear.
He wears suits and stuff.
Well, nowadays on real TV, but I'm
real
talking about when he comes
clothes.
out.
Okay,
in
well,
whatever. So
those are
who
exceptions.
are we rooting for? Who's going to be the Base White Banner team? I'm saying Battlehawks. Wow.
I mean, I'll probably never watch it, so
Yeah, pick a team.
we should really before we pick a team and it's the worst one. Maybe
Nah.
we should watch it a little bit.
Don't care.
Really?
Yeah, don't care.
I
Just-
guess you
I'm
do
going-
like the Vikings, so
I'm
that
going-
makes sense.
Whoa. I got to shout out Purple. Can't wait. Season's right around the corner. Don't even get me started. What was I going to say? I said the Battlehawks. Raw!
But the Dragons are way more, we'll
Or
say,
Dragons.
nerdy
We'll flip
and
it-
like
we'll-
fantasy.
We'll flip a coin. We'll let you know once they actually start playing. So, will you actually watch an XFL game?
I would watch one just to see what it is, but I can promise you, if it's even close to regular football, I'm going to be bored.
That's the thing that they got last time. They had the first week was banana ratings, and it aired on like a Friday, which was a misstep because it needs to be on like if you're gonna try to get football off-season views, you need to make it at like the same time football is, or around that time, maybe mid-afternoon on a Sunday, early evening on a Sunday, things of that nature.
Because that's football time.
I'll watch it. I'll watch it. I definitely want to watch it and see how it's different because the first iteration was not good.
So what was different about it that
I have
made
no
it
idea
exist?
the rule changes. Oh, in the beginning,
Yeah.
there was like no kickoff. It was like a scrum, and I can't remember all the rules. That was a long time ago. That was like 20 years ago.
With as much hassle as normal football's getting for being dangerous, I'm shocked that an extreme version is
Extreme Football League.
right. Like how could you make it more extreme? You know,
Only in America.
purposely give the players concussions.
Right.
Like, come on.
CTE for everybody. Just handing it out.
Well,
CTE is no joke.
And McMahon's also like, in charge of another business that completely destroys people's brains. So he's probably a little more, got to be a little more
Those are
careful.
independent contractors. They put themselves at risk on their own accord.
Well, maybe he'll independently contract these
man.
XFL players, huh?
Well, hey, the NFL technically they are because they're like a union.
Oh, my God.
Well, no, I think they are employees.
Well, but still, again,
no, you're
with
an
wrestling,
employee.
they're
So you have
way super
they
careful
have-
now with concussions.
They are. No, they're in every sport. And I'll tune in to see if it's any good. And if it entertains me, I'll watch it. And if it doesn't, and it's just rip off NFL with less.
It'll be
good-
NFL, but you can do wrestling moves in it.
Nope, definitely not. It's not that. It can't be that because it has to be safe, or else they're gonna get just lambasted. It has to be safer. I don't know. I'm curious. That's why I threw it in there because I'm very curious. Something I'm also curious about. Kevin Smith is going to be taking over a He-Man show, an anime He-Man show on Netflix. Now, with my Netflix about to go out the window,
Yep.
and I'm about to dump that thing,
Ours too.
and I'm about to throw one of my TVs away because I can't stream. Okay, hold on. Before we get into this, I got a sidebar. So all of a sudden, there's been all these updates to streaming services like Hulu, WWE Network.
Okay.
They're going to like this different type of the way they give it to you. I think it's like, I don't know if it's HTML or whatever it is, right?
Backshots?
It's just some different like version of like delivery system, right?
Okay.
It's like more complex.
That's what I'm saying.
So a bunch of things like the PS3, a bunch of old TVs, a bunch of that don't get these services anymore. Like you can't stream. So on my LG upstairs, I can't stream Hulu. I can't stream WWE Network. I can only stream
Wait,
Netflix.
like it streams poorly or doesn't stream at all?
No. Like
Because right now we're streaming on a Wii U.
the apps move past it to the point where you can't. It's unusable.
Wow. So I bet my Wii U's probably getting to that
I can't
point, huh?
use my PS3 for WWE Network anymore.
That's crazy.
So my Fire Stick is like my main go-to, and now my PS4. And once I cancel
Although me
that,
and the wife
I'm
are
gonna have to
gonna
get two new
switch.
TVs because both the TVs upstairs I think can't do anything but Netflix. And with canceling Netflix, which is going to be
So
crazy,
the TVs, are you talking like?
the smart TVs, like the app, like
Oh,
when you go
okay.
to hit apps.
But if you plugged in your Fire Stick, they would
Yeah,
still
oh yeah.
work.
If I took
right?
my Fire Stick
Okay,
up there,
I was
'cause
like,
then it's running through the Fire
right.
Stick, right?
So
if I have the
it's just
Fire
what
Stick
it's
up
running through that's
right.
messed up.
Well, and
Okay.
I'm not going to move the Fire Stick throughout the house.
No.
all
I
day.
was just curious for myself.
Could buy some more Fire Sticks and just have a Fire Stick hooked up to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
But then Disney Plus comes out. They put out their list of acceptable devices. Guess what? No Fire TV on there, but PS4 is on there. So now I'm going to have to go PS4 when I do my Disney Plus, which I was like, how's that going to work? Because they're offering that bundle with Hulu and ESPN Plus, which are both available on the Fire. They'll
I
get
wonder
it worked
why
out.
they're not on the Fire Stick.
By launch, it'll be on there. It'll be on there by launch. I'm guaranteeing it because launch is November 12th. November 12th, Mandalorian drops, everything. The D23 Expo's happening this weekend, so we'll see what comes of that. Because
Right.
the streaming wars are about to be like super on. All right, so the Kevin Smith He-Man anime show. Let's bring the
Yeah,
trolley
I
back
was like,
around.
where are we going now?
Well, they have that He-Man movie in development, right? They're developing a He-Man movie, and now you have this anime show. Which one would you rather like see? Which one were you more interested in?
A show or a movie? I mean,
Like an
realistic.
animated show that's like anime style on Netflix. Like let's say like a Voltron.
I'll
Or
say
a live action movie.
the show for sure.
Me too.
Movie, it can be cool and all, and it's not like there aren't good movies out, but the show is probably more likely
Yeah.
to work.
I'd be way more pumped about the show than I would be about the movie.
But
Honestly.
I won't have Netflix by then, so it won't matter.
That's the thing. Well, and then, so someone was doing some math. I saw this post the other day, and someone was doing some math about like all the streaming services, and they added up like I want to say Hulu, Netflix, not Amazon, because that was Prime. But then they had like a music one. They had like HBO. They had like a bunch of them, and it was like $96.
Oh my gosh!
And that was like just like your basic streaming service package. I don't even think there's a wrestling one on
It's
there.
getting to the point where it's basically like those old cable packages you used to get.
It is, and that's what I'm saying.
Like which channels you get now. Streaming services have basically turned into channels.
Well, and it's more a la carte,
right?
But then you feel like you have to have, like, there's this need to have like all of it.
Well, because you
For a
want to
lot
be
of
able to
people,
watch what you
everything.
want to watch.
Everything.
Especially, and the way they set these up, ultimately, complain all you want about Netflix is what is it right now?
13.
Okay. How much does how much does a DVD cost if you go to Walmart?
Still like $20. 22.
Okay. So if it's on Netflix,
Well, unless you go to the $5 bin. I mean,
Right.
if you want a new movie or like any old movie.
we'll say
nobody
something
buys
that would be
physical
on
media.
Netflix.
Nobody buys physical media.
But my point is,
Okay.
if you wanted to buy it, it's going to cost you almost as much as your Netflix subscription. So it's like, well, we could just do Netflix. I'll get that movie, and then we can watch some other stuff too.
I saw Stranger Things on DVD and Blu-ray in
Right.
Target the other day, and I
Right.
was like, why? Like,
But,
if you
and
have why
again,
would you?
who would buy that when you have Netflix? But ultimately,
Well, now that I'm about
know,
to cancel my Netflix, maybe, because I'm still on the first season of that show.
But
I
that's
didn't
my
think
point.
it's fine.
Is ultimately which one's cheaper? Just keeping your Netflix to watch that? Would the DVDs, buying the DVDs, cost more than actually just keeping your Netflix for an extra month?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a year, obviously it's going to be more cost effective, and you're going to have a wider selection. Or will you though? Because will they lose so much? Will
But
there
that's
be
my point.
anything-
Is it's still so we'll say so competitive compared to actual physical media
That's the
that
thing.
I don't know
these
that'll
companies
actually
are, these
hurt 'em
companies
that
are
bad.
banking on everyone just like signing up and
Basically
then just leaving
doing
their subscription.
Well, more like signing up to watch one. It's kind of like what news does now
Well,
with the internet. You have to like pay to see articles. So
Yeah.
you want to read one article so bad that you're like, okay, I'll subscribe for a month. Well, now you've been on for a
subscribe
month.
for 6 months.
Well,
Right.
okay, so you unsubscribe for a month, but then next month another article you want to read comes out and you have to subscribe again. They don't care. Just keep doing it.
See, and that's the thing though, is a la carte's good, but it's also bad, especially now that it gets more fragmented and becomes even more,
It's just like, again, it's
There
not
is-
like it's any different than what we've had before. It's ultimately it's just cable
there
packages,
is a
but
tipping point.
differently. Well,
know.
the same
There is
was
a
true
tipping
with
point.
cable packages,
That's
and
true.
Netflix pooped on them. So ultimately, yes, there will be a tipping point where it'll kind of revert back to where we were with Netflix, where it's kind of like Wild Westy. But
gonna be
right for
bun-
now,
just
we're
gonna be
kind
bundles.
of we're coming back to whatever you want to call it, cable packages.
Everyone will have bundles,
But
Kinda
it's
how-
streaming
How they're
packages.
doing Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu for $13.
Right.
Everyone's gonna have packages. So then, and then it'll go by what service, right? So let's say AT&T owns Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers rolls out their new streaming service, right? So if you have an AT&T phone, you automatically get the Warner Brothers service.
Well, and
let's say
Netflix, can't you get
partners
Netflix?
with,
Aren't
they
they
partner
partners?
with T-Mobile or somebody.
Well,
right?
I think they are, right?
So then you sign up for this, and then you get this, and then that's going to be, and then there'll be
well, and
or
then
there's
Netflix
this
is buying Sprint, or not Netflix. God.
T-Mobile and Sprint emerging into
Yes.
one. So that's the thing though, is everything's just getting condensed down
Right.
and watered down into just, I don't know, these conglomerates that's not the best for the customer. Because it's you're gonna end up
And
having,
that's true, but
you're
then
gonna end up
there's
having,
always-
let's say two options.
It's
right?
a cycle, though. And it's not to say that there isn't need for somebody to come in and say, okay, let's slow it down. But ultimately, I'm sure there's plenty of people who are like, Blockbuster's killing all of the competitors when it comes to video. Blockbuster's unstoppable, yada, yada, yada. And then Netflix came out, right? Well, now everyone's like, okay, all these streaming services are like unstoppable, and they're doing exactly what cable did, and that killed cable. So it's not to say that no one ever needs to do something to kind of slow it down. But my point is we've run this cycle before. It's not like this is the first time this has ever happened. So to say like it's getting to the point where it's super bad for customers, it is. But that usually when we hit that tipping point, someone comes in and says, I mean,
Right now,
we
it's not
were,
super bad for customers.
like losing it over Disney and how low they put their price, right?
That's what I'm saying. Right now, it's not bad for customers
Right.
because there's so much competition.
Right.
I'm saying eventually it will be worse once more and more
I
companies.
mean,
start
ultimately,
to
we started with one guy in this
conglomerate, you know what I mean?
streaming industry.
If they pull in, let's say Disney pulls in Sony, right, and then Universal ends up joining with like AT&T Warner and like that merge. You know what I mean? Like as these things merge down, you'll have option A and option B, and they'll both gouge you,
right?
And they'll both pretty much be the exact same thing. So there's, you know what and that's what I'm saying. Like that's the end game that I'm terrified for. And I don't know that the powers that be will actually dissolve these companies or make them break up. You know what I mean? They're pretty much they're allowing this to happen because inevitably you get it. And this is just way, way deeper than we need to go, but inevitably it just goes down to like the money and then like lobbyists and getting, you know, the Justice Department to allow these things to happen continually and allow these mergers. And, you know, the customer, that's like the internet, you know what politician I will vote for? The politician that comes out, not healthcare for everybody, not college for everybody. And those are great. We should have those anyways. Like 15 other countries do. But internet for everybody.
Well, isn't internet considered
not like a thing you can sell anymore? Like it's become such a necessity.
Hasn't it? Isn't it considered a basic human right now?
I have no idea.
I think don't quote me. Maybe I read something wrong.
It needs to become like a public utility or not a, you know. And
yeah, but they pay you for power, or you pay for power,
right? And there's power companies.
You know, it's like, and yes, the heating companies can't turn off your heat in the middle of the winter, but it's the same thing, right?
It's just a cycle.
It's the same crap, you know.
It all is.
You pay for food, you need that to live, you know.
Yeah. Ah, what a world.
Chipotle ain't free just because you die if you don't have it, yo.
Chipotle is not free. They be charging. You know, guac's extra.
Yeah, I know.
They tell you that all the time. I'm like, yeah.
I've never. You know what? They're smart now. They know not to even bother. Because
I'm like, so much.
I'm like, no. I literally was like, yeah, throw some guac on there, and they didn't even ask. They didn't even say, you know, that's extra, right? They must just be used to people being like, yeah, I've eaten at Chipotle before, dog. I know this ain't my first rodeo.
D23 starts today. Mm-hmm. And all the big stuff is going to happen later this afternoon and tomorrow when I'll be at the state fair.
So why did we pick now to?
Because we had all the stuff from earlier in the week.
I guess that's true.
I can always shoot at Thor's thoughts if there's anything.
Who's going to watch that?
What do you think, if anything, we'll see? Do you think we'll get a Mandalorian
I have
trailer?
no idea. I make no speculation. I can't even imagine.
Star Wars.
There's so much that could possibly happen.
Black Widow trailer.
That's what I mean. There's literally so much. I couldn't even fathom a guess.
Day one on Disney Plus, there's going to be The Mandalorian.
Right.
I think the Loki series, the What If series.
Okay.
Like and I thought those had way later release dates, but maybe they'll just be like a couple episodes or like one episode. You know what I mean?
Why would you do that?
I don't know. But the whole series.
You got to release enough on the streaming service right away.
Listen. Well, and they have like a huge, I was looking at it earlier, but they have like a giant list of when everything's going to start streaming. And that's why they said November 12th. But they will have all of The Mandalorian, The Live Lady and the Tramp. Yeah, here it is right here. So they got Lady and the Tramp, The Mandalorian, The Hero Project, Encore, Monsters at Work, Falcon Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Clone Wars, What If, Loki. And that's
so much stuff.
That's launch date available. Which I think if you look at when they announced a lot of that stuff, it had much later release dates. Like much later, especially Loki and What If came way later in the presentation.
Right. So
for them to be on there, like, and those other four for launch, Live Lady and the Tramp, some other bunch of things I haven't heard of. High School Musical, the series. I mean, I know you're pumped for that.
Naturally.
New Clone Wars. And like all of Clone Wars.
That's crazy. So much.
And that's just their stuff. They haven't even announced what like classic stuff will be on there yet.
Right.
They haven't announced what Fox stuff will be on there yet. Nutty. So, man.
Disney's getting wild.
Goodbye, Spider-Man. Farewell for now. He'll be back, right? Don't you think? Hope.
You can.
Well, whatever. Like, share, and subscribe. Till the next one. I'm Thor. That's Brian. Episode 133. We out. Deuces. Say goodbye, Brian.
Goodbye, Brian.
If you like what you just saw, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our videos, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and like our Facebook page.